Hi, James here with Your American Flag Store and the host of the Your American podcast. So today's mini episode is on fear tactics. I'm just going to outline a few of my own experiences going back to when I was a little kid that made me very skeptical of any time that someone is using fear to get me to do something that they want me to do. So this goes always all the way back into like the early 80s. I was probably somewhere between 8 and 10 years old. My mom had taken me and I think my brother and one or both of my sisters, anyway, to a dentist. And you know how in any doctor's office, they have a table with magazines and stuff on it. And I remember seeing on one of those, on that table, one of the magazines, it was a Time magazine. I'll have to look it up and see if I can find that a particular magazine cover, but it was a picture of a blue face, like an old man with a blue face, and he was shivering. And the headline on the magazine was "The Ice Age is coming" or something like that. And I remember thinking to myself, "That's weird. You know, if there's an ice age coming and it's like right around the corner, why am I going to school?" I live in I lived in Huntington Beach, Southern California, and the weather's always beautiful, and the beach is right up the street. Why am I going to school, wasting my life learning my ABC so I can function in this world if I'm going to be dead in 10 or 15 years? Shouldn't I just be enjoying the time that we have left before the ice swallows us up? And I just thought that was just weird. If we were really going, if the earth was ending in 10 or 15 years, or even 20 years, why would they be putting the next generation into school? And I remember thinking that as like a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, thinking that just didn't make sense. But whatever, this is what life is. And I guess that's just what we're going to do because I'm 10. I don't get to do what I want to do. I got to do what my dad and mom say. So I did what mom and dad said, and that was to go to school and to go into the dentist and do what, we were doing. But that whole experience just kind of was like, that was just weird. So going through grade school and, elementary and junior high, I remember this constant narrative, global cooling, it's pending. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it wasn't just on Time magazine or Life magazine. It was in our schools. The teachers were scaring us. The news was scaring us. Everybody was scared about this pending ice age. And I just thought that was weird, that everyone's going to work and we're doing our normal life, but yet we're all going to be dead in a few years because we're going to be swallowed up by an ice cube. But then around 8th grade, maybe my freshman year or so in high school, it switched. It did a 180. No, the science was wrong. The science is now saying there's going to be no ice. And we're melting. The whole thing is melting. We're melting. I thought that was like I had been in enough elementary science classes to learn that that's not how science works. Science doesn't, if you're dealing with good data, science doesn't go from we're going to be an ice cube to there's not going to be any ice on planet Earth in a matter of 8 years, maybe 10 years tops. Not even that. A short amount of time. So now I'm not trusting science, and every time that I'm going into a science class, I'm just thinking like, what's going to change? What's going to change? Then later on, in that same, 5-year span, the science changes again. It's no longer global cooling. It's no longer global warming. It's climate change. And I noticed, you know what? I've known a few liars in my life. And when a liar gets caught in a lie, they blur the lines. They make it seem like, well, I wasn't wrong. I wasn't completely right. It was somewhere in the middle. And now science is that liar, that person caught in a lie. Well, it's not global cooling. It's not global warming. It's somewhere in the middle. It's climate change. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, we've had 2 or 3 or maybe even more ice ages that we know of on this planet. So yeah, the climate's changing. And to my knowledge, the first 3 ice ages had nothing to do with V8 motors, diesel trucks, and planes, and rockets, and human beings, our footprint. So if we had thriving life on Earth, and then an ice age came and killed all that life, all the dinosaurs, what caused it? Yes, I think one time there was a meteor and it created, basically a shadow and blocked out the sun, and of course, ice age. But what happens the other times? Was it always that? Why are we being sold this lie that one day we're going to be swallowed up by ice, the next day the seas are going to rise and everyone's going to drown and it's going to be, catastrophic? Which, another thing that's weird is that while they say the oceans are going to rise in the next 20 years, taking up all the shorelines, banks are still lending money on 30-year notes for those houses on those shorelines. So why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense. If the science is saying that those houses are going to be underwater in 15 to 20 years, why are they lending millions of dollars for beachfront houses on 30-year notes? When 20 years into that note, the houses are going to have to be abandoned because, they're not built like a submarine. So that doesn't make sense. All of this fear, it doesn't make sense. There's too much stuff going on out there that counters it. And if the science is settled, as Obama said, it's settled. Why are banks lending out billions of dollars to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people buying houses that are beachfront? That doesn't make any sense. You'd think that the bankers would be tapped into the science and be like, hey, look, we can't do a 30-year note. This house is going to be underwater in 20 years. We're not going to get all of our money back. So that whole thing, just in that high school, grade school, I mean, we're talking 8 years old, 9 years old, all the way through 16, 17 years old. I started putting all that together, just knowing our government lies to us. Science is not settled, and scientists lie. For what? Well, the scientists need money for their funding, so they're going to find the people who want to find something, and then they'll get their money so that they will say, yes, I'll prove what you want me to prove, and that's it. They're not out there just letting the data go where it goes. They're out there collecting the data and creating these models that will prove their hypothesis. And it's obvious. So follow the money. Then you have, when I was in high school, another event where I felt that, why am I being scared into thinking this? And it was the Gulf War. Desert Storm. Saddam Hussein, he's killing people. He's bombing his neighbor. He's got weapons of mass destruction. Let's go to war. And of course, the American people, we don't like war. But as soon as we found out weapons of mass, the WMDs, oh my God. He can kill tens of thousands of people, and we are a righteous nation who defend those who cannot be defended. So let's go to war and let's save the people who cannot defend themselves from this evil, evil man, Saddam Hussein, who was an evil man and probably got exactly what he deserved. His sons were horrible. He was horrible. And I'm not trying to say that what he had coming, he didn't. He did. I'm just saying that, why did we have to do it? So in that war, we were brought into it. The American people supported it because we were scared. WMDs. This guy's crazy and he's got WMDs. Meanwhile, who's making money? Somebody's making money. Who's making money? Every time Dick Cheney says to bomb that, bomb this, and bomb that, oop, who gets the contract to rebuild all that stuff? Hal Burton and Dick Cheney. How many millions, tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars did Dick Cheney make on that war? And how did we get into the war? Fear. We were told to fear Saddam Hussein and what he could do and the movement that he was representing in the Middle East. And our allies were in danger. Fear, fear, fear. Let's go to war. So some people can make some money. How many people have made money on climate change? War and climate change. My gosh, these have been going on, I mean, since the beginning of time, but in my lifetime, I'm 50, and in that 50 years that I've been alive, in every single year I've been alive, someone's been scaring us, and that same someone happens to be making money. How many people have made tens of millions, hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars off of climate change and global warming and global cooling and the sky is falling? How many people have made billions of dollars off of that industry? How many people have made billions of dollars off of the wars? Both the climate stuff and the war stuff, we're all participating in it because we were brought to the market with fear. Just kind of weird that every time that there's someone telling us to be afraid of someone that or something, that same someone or group that they're representing is making tons of money. Now, those two examples are, 50 years in the making. I mean, they're just making, I guess you could say they're kind of making a little bit over a long period of time, or a lot of bit over a long period of time. And then you got the next one. You're going to kill grandma. You're going to kill your babies. You're going to kill your neighbor. To hell with your freedom. Isn't that what Arnold Schwarzenegger said? Someone that ought to know better, considering his family is, his parents lived through the Holocaust and were told to fear Jews and fear all kinds of things. And I mean, how that guy, oh God, what an absolute disgrace. Such a disappointment. That guy was my hero growing up. But anyways, that's another story. COVID, we were told to fear it. We were told you're going to kill grandma. Now, keep in mind, all of these times that people are spreading fear, there's money to be made. There's always money. Follow the money. You follow the money, you get to the source of the fear. So all these other things, 50-year ramping up and changing the narrative and, making some adjustments to keep that money maker, that cash cow alive. And then you got COVID. COVID seemed to come out of the blue. But come on. You think that came out of the blue? The people that are making this kind of money using these kinds of tactics, fear tactics, it doesn't come out of the blue. These people were lining this up for years. They were arranging it for years, placing themselves in a perfect position to capitalize on our fear. And I'm not talking about the entrepreneurs who, COVID comes and we're short on masks, so people start making masks in their garage and using their 3D printers and, their resources to, help. I'm not talking about good for them. Those guys made $1,000, maybe $10,000, $20,000, small amounts of money, relatively, and good for them. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people. I'm not talking about the people who made, spontaneous money. Oh, COVID. Wear a mask. Okay. Oh, where there's a short of a mask. Okay, let's make masks. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people who made money, real money, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. You think that they were set up and all ready to go to make billions of dollars on the fly? Is that how that works? People made money on the fly like that? Ooh, COVID, look. Oh, we got a vaccine. Or not even a vaccine. It's not a vaccine. Shouldn't call it a vaccine because it's not a vaccine. You think that happened just spontaneously? I mean, do you really think that? Or do you think that these people had set this whole stage up for years, creating the environment to where they would create global fear of a germ? Wear a mask, wear 2 masks, wear 3 masks, wear a mask in your car when you're all by yourself so that as you're passing someone at 80 miles an hour down the freeway, you don't pass the virus onto the dude next to you in another car with 3 masks on. Just the insanity of people driving around by themselves in a car on freeways with the mask on to protect people around them. That is a perfect illustration of the effectiveness. Exactly how effective fear tactics are. And the people who made the real money over COVID had been planning it for a good long while. And I don't think that it was just to make money. I think that it was there was a lot of political ambitions in it. There's a lot of things going on with that I don't claim to understand. I don't have all the solutions. All I know is that I have a BS detector that has been honed in since I was a little tiny kid. That the first time my BS detector went off, I was sitting in a dentist's office and I was told I was going to be swallowed up by an ice cube. And it just didn't make any sense. And then weapons of mass destruction turned out that was a lie. Then COVID turned out to be just a really bad flu and the whole thing is a lie. But all the while, people are making money off these things. Billions and billions of dollars. If you add it all up, we're talking trillions of dollars. And oddly enough, if you add it all up and you go to where all the money goes from climate change to wars to COVID, wouldn't you know it's all the same people making that money? Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? That's kind of weird. I think it's weird. Don't you think it's weird? I think it's weird. But hey, it's all legit. These people like Bill Gates and Barack Obama, and what is his name? Whatever that dude that wears the UFO stuff over in the at the Davos and everything, that weirdo. All those people, all making money off of all of our fear. All of this guy is falling. This guy is falling. Let's all put on masks, 2 masks, 3 masks. Let's save grandma. Your baby's going to die if you don't have 3 masks on. This is just absolute insanity. All that brings us to my last example of fear tactics. He's Hitler. He's going to round you up, take you to concentration camps, and murder you. He's the next Hitler. He's a fascist. For 8 years, we were told now President-elect Trump was Hitler by every left-leaning loony in the news and all the gullible dum-dums that believed those people. He's Hitler. He's Hitler. We're talking thousands, tens of thousands of people in the media talking to millions of dum-dums, all of them saying, he's Hitler, he's a Nazi, he's a fascist, he's going to murder people. The ladies on The View said that not only is he's a fascist and he's going to murder people, but he's going to make you marry people of your own race. That's what the ladies on The View said.
What we heard at that rally should be enough to shake folks awake, because he's talking about you, all of you, He's talking about you. It's us. He's not going to say, oh, you're with a white guy, I'm going to keep you from being deported. No, he's going to deport you and put the white guy with someone else. The man is out there.
Let me tell you something. The ladies on The View have taken women's liberation back 30 years, because what those idiots talk about is they're just dumb. They're just dumb. Everything on there is fear. It's all fear. It is a fear. What they're peddling, what they're selling on that show is fear. Nothing but fear. That's all that they do. They just get people riled up and scared and, okay, vote against this guy or what. It's all fear. Orange man bad. Nazi. Fascism. Hitler. Now, all these people who have been putting that out there, spreading this propaganda, if they really believed, I did another video on this, and I'll link it to this one, but if those people really believed that Trump was Hitler, and they really believed that he was going to do Hitler stuff, like round people up and murder people by the millions, all of his political adversaries and people who didn't agree with him and voted against him, why aren't all these people running for their lives? Why aren't they leaving to Canada and Mexico? Why? If he's really Hitler and they truly believe he's Hitler, they'd be running away, knowing that the only thing that can stop Hitler, what did it take to stop Hitler? It took the entire world to come and stop him. So the entire world is not gathering up around Trump. In fact, most of the world is rallying behind Trump, which would give you even more reason for all of these dum-dums who spread the propaganda. He's Hitler. He's a Nazi. He's a fascist. Why aren't they running for their lives? Why aren't they getting their wives, getting their children, and running for their lives? Well, it's obvious. They never believed it. They never believed it. They always knew it was a lie, and they're a bunch of sheep who just pushed the lie, the propaganda, for 8 years, which at the level that they spread that propaganda makes them more like the fascists, more like the Nazis, more like Hitler than Trump and the MAGA movement ever was. We never called anybody Hitler. We never called anyone fascist. We never called, you're all a bunch of commies, for sure. I don't think that you're the type of commies that want to round people up like Mao and Stalin or Hitler and kill people. I think that you're just a bunch of dumb communists that don't even understand that you're a communist. Anyways, I'm ranting. Fear tactics. That's what was used to try to defeat Trump. I think that people are starting to be aware of it, and that's what this video really was about, is that just don't think that the fear tactics they use to try to associate Trump with Hitler and fascism and being a Nazi and all that kind of stuff. Don't think that that's where the fear tactics have started. The fear tactics started in the 70s with getting you to believe that we're all going to be swallowed up by an ice cube. And then no, it's all the ice cubes are going to end and the sea levels are going to rise. And no, it's something in between. It's global warming. It's climate change, as if the climate isn't always changing and will always change, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's going to change. And then war, WMDs, get Saddam, fight for freedom, let's go kill people. And then COVID. And then Trump's Hitler. All the while, every single one of these cases, every one of these subjects, it's the same people making money. Every single time, the last 50 years. A couple of the politicians have actually been in office 50 years. Joe Biden has been part of that machine where he's been making money off of climate change. He made money off of the war. He made money off of COVID. He made money, and when I say he made money, he didn't make money directly, or all these people, not necessarily directly, but they have a way to profit from the hysteria, from the situation in one way or another. Joe Biden profited. I don't believe that he actually profited from like the COVID vaccines or anything like that. I think that Joe Biden profited by being in office and letting his son go out there and do what he did with Burisma and his his brother James made all kinds of deals all over. But I think that's going to be all brought to light pretty soon. Russia. Who is really involved with Russia? Who is really involved with making money over in that part of the world with Ukraine? Well, son of a bitch. I think that it's Joe. Anyways, so that's my take on fear tactics. Be skeptical of fear tactics. Do not believe it. My advice to everyone out there is when the government, when an agency, when an organization, a company, a person, doesn't matter who it is, uses fear to get you to make a quick decision or a decision that changes your life or society in any way. If they use fear, don't believe them. Good ideas don't need fear to get you. They just lay out evidence, and the evidence will either scare you or it won't. But if they skip the evidence and tell you, just be afraid, or worse, they say, believe this evidence and this evidence don't. I mean, a great example of this is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan during COVID came out and said, ivermectin will help, and monoclonal antibodies or something like that will help you beat COVID. Then people attacked him. Ivermectin, that's a horse dewormer. Well, there's a version of it that is made for animals. There's all kinds of medicines that are made for humans, and the same type of medicine, they have a version of it for animals. That's common. And yes, there is an ivermectin that is for animals. There's also one that's been used on human beings for about 80 years. It's been used over 1 billion times, and there's been something like a dozen adverse effects of ivermectin. A dozen out of 1 billion doses of it. A dozen. Then you go to the vaccine, there's thousands of adverse effects. No time in my life have I ever seen professional athletes passing out, dying in front of us on fields, on courts. Newscasters passing out on the set. Comedians passing out on stage. All the while, all of them sometimes passing out in mid-sentence promoting this fake vaccine.
Double vaxxed, booster, flu shot, and I'm going to be honest, I have the shingle shot too. Never got COVID. Clearly, Jesus loves me the most. Seriously. So nice. So nice.
But it's got nothing to do with it. Got nothing to do with it. Totally unrelated. It's insane to think that it's actually the vaccine that's causing it. Joe Rogan mentioned ivermectin as a viable treatment for the vaccine, for COVID. And the left went absolutely nuts. Defamed him, criticized him, ridiculed him, told him that he's, an idiot. Joe Rogan is probably the most open-minded person, one of the most open-minded human beings of our time. He will go down in history as someone who literally was the most in one of the most unreasonable times in human history. Joe Rogan was there saying, "Everybody chill, everybody relax. Let's listen to this side. Let's listen to that side. Let's be respectful." And the left attacked him. He was a Bernie guy. he was not just left. He was far left on some things. On some things, he's always been conservative. He's not a right or left guy. He's he votes on what he believes based on the evidence that he has, and he listens to evidence from every side without acknowledging that the evidence is coming from a side. It's just more information. And he takes the information and then he decides what he wants to believe based on the information and how trustworthy he believes the information is. And then he makes a decision. And then he delivers it to his audience and he articulates it from an unbiased perspective. And that's what he did. And when he did that with COVID, and came to the conclusion that ivermectin is a good treatment for COVID, the left went absolutely nuts and attacked him. They didn't just attack him, they chased him out of their party, just like they did Tulsi, just like they did RFK, just like they've done to Joe and Mika in the last week. Anybody that goes against their narrative, they attack them. Joe Rogan is probably one of the most open-minded and fair-minded human beings on planet Earth. Of all the people on planet Earth to fear what they have to say or to fear at all, Joe Rogan is probably the absolute last. Well, unless he kicks you, then you should absolutely be very afraid of that guy. Like, he's got probably one of the hardest kicks ever. He's not even like an official UFC fighter or mixed martial. I mean, he's a mixed martial artist, but he's not in competition. But that dude, yeah, you should fear him. Don't say nothing about his wife or his kids or anything like that. You'd probably want to fear him. But in a discussion, just sitting around a table and having a discussion, Joe Rogan is someone who you would never need to fear. He will never yell at you. He will never call you names. He will never be disrespectful. He will never, he can totally 100% disagree with you and stand up, not just shake your hand, but hug you and wish you well. And when he gave his opinion, the left absolutely attacked him because Joe Rogan was telling people you don't need to be afraid. And they can't have that. They need people to be afraid so they can control them with that fear. So that's my take on fear tactics. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Your American Podcast. And I hope you find it valuable. If you like what you just heard, please share this video and get it out there. And if you want to support our podcast and our company, a lot of you may know we were brutally canceled by PayPal, Facebook, and Shopify and others. But we've been in this fight against cancel culture. We have legislation pending, and thank you, Monty Fritz, for that, and Tim Burchett in the U.S. Congress for talking with us to see if we can get this law passed and end cancel culture once and for all. Please support our company, YourAmericanFlagStore.com. Go to our website, YourAmericanFlagStore.com. Find a flag, find a product that you like. We'd love to make it for you, display it in your home. Our goal from the very beginning has always been to put as many American flags in as many homes as possible so that children are growing up in homes that have a love and respect and reverence for the American flag so that they grow up with a love of country and a love of God. And that's our mission. So please go to YourAmericanFlagStore.com and support our business, support our family, support our podcast by buying a flag today. Thank you so much for watching.